Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. As always, I am Yoande Fallon. I am a former McKinsey consultant and Morgan Stanley VP turned founder, CEO, and certified leadership coach. And today I am talking about something which I'm really excited about, and I'm going to go straight right in. So, if you are someone who you think you know what you want, right? Really ambitious, really focused on what you want to get, and you know what you need to do. You've been to the leadership seminars, you've read the books, you know the concepts, you could probably teach some of the concepts, but it's still not working out. This is the life for you, and it doesn't actually matter what the thing is. It could be you want to be in a more senior, more impactful role, right? You want to be more energized and feel like you're making a difference, bringing some meaning to the work that you're doing. You want to be a more inspiring leader, someone who really, really can inspire, motivate other people to action and to success. Maybe it's you wanting to feel like you can stand up with the bosses around you, feeling like an equal, feeling confident, stepping into a room with executive presence, having the ability to communicate in a way that gets your ideas across, or just doing all of these things faster. Again, we often think that it's about just knowing and knowing the steps to get there. But here's the thing, here's the big secret. The biggest thing that holds each and every one of us back, and I will say specifically entrepreneurial executives, leaders, serial high achievers, is not our drive, it's not our ambition, it's not the know how. Because we've got Google, we've got the seminars, we've got other people that we could copy. You could listen to all the podcasts in the world. The vast majority of people, it's not about that, it's what's in our heads. And that's what I really want to talk about today. What's interesting is if you look at the vast majority of my clients, they either have about the same level of experience and education as me, or they are significantly more senior and somewhere in between. And we often think that the problem is that we just don't know. So we reach out to people and we go, hey, I've got this problem. Can you give me some advice about X, Y, and Z? Can you tell me how you inspire your people? Can you tell me the best way to do X, Y, and Z? And here's the thing. If you can Google the answer and you can look for it and you can find the steps and you can run through the steps, but it's still not working, then that's not the issue. The issue comes back to mindset. And so now, what often happens is people go, well, yeah, I just need a stronger mindset. I need to have a more confident mindset. I need a growth mindset. Well, that's all well and good, and they're words that we move around. It's not good enough to actually creating that shift. So what that kind of brings in us is this feeling that mindset is the thing that we're born with, or a thing that's sort of fuzzy and non-tangible that we just need to figure out. But what we really want, and where the magic comes in, and when we look at high performers, people who are consistently not just serial high achievers, but really achieving everything that they want, the way that they want it, they're able to create a systematic, repeatable, sustainable model for shifting their mindset. So I'm going to repeat that again. This is not about just going, all right, you know what you're doing, you know where you need to go, you know the steps. Now let's just try to figure out a better mindset to have. You should be more confident. Yeah, maybe you should, or maybe you want to be. But it's not just about throwing that statement out. The true distinction, the issue that many of us have is not recognizing that the magic is in finding and creating a systematic, repeatable, sustainable model for shifting your mindset, and therefore, which then affects your feelings, your actions, your ability to not just know the things that you want to do, but actually take the steps in a way that creates the impact and the change that you want. And then we go into a whole other realm, which is now not just about you, but how you do that for other people. But let's start with you. What does it actually mean to create a systematic, repeatable, sustainable model, right? We often think about models as algorithms or things that are tangible. And perception and mindset is tangible. It's not ethereal. It's not this random thing in our heads, right? If we start maybe with what does it even mean to develop a strong leadership mindset? So first of all, thinking back to that concept that our minds are the key to accelerating us into impactful executive level, legacy level leadership positions and all the things that come with that. And it's because everything starts with your thought. Your thoughts drive your feelings drive your actions. Therefore, in order to confidently and consistently take the actions that create the success that you want, what better place to start than at the source? Yeah. We often try to start, and this is a mistake. Not a mistake, because I don't necessarily believe in that word, but this is an approach that many people who I work with initially start with, which is like, oh, well, I want to shift the action. I want the action to change. So let's start with the action. But don't start at the symptom, start with the cause, which goes with your thoughts and your mindset, which again brings us back to this concept of, yeah, but that's harder. That's less tangible. But that's the thing, right? That's the secret. It's not intangible, it's completely tangible. So let's break it down. There are two parts to developing a stronger leadership mindset. The first is amplifying constructive mindsets, and the second is challenging and reducing unconstructive mindsets. So if you imagine that you've had a really great week so far and you want to end on a high, amplifying your constructive mindset is like choosing to play an upbeat playlist that energizes you on high volume, right? You're amped up, you're pumped up, you've got something that actually lifts your spirits, and you know that it does, and you're able to replicate that in times when you need. Reducing your unconstructive mindset is more like instead of listening, skipping the downbeat songs and that drain your energy and make you sad. So you hear the song, get rid of it. And today, what we're going to focus on when we think about that systemize, and you can systemize both parts, right? What we're going to focus on is how we systemize reducing the unconstructive mindsets that's holding you back. And ultimately, it's about recognizing when the sad songs, the unconstructive voices, the thoughts that are not helping you achieve the actions that you want, again, starting with the cause, starting with the root cause. When you recognize that they're not helping you, then what do you do about it? And even in that thought, the first part to the systemization or systemizing the process is awareness. So getting to a place where you are aware of the thoughts that are going on in your head and you recognize them and you respect those thoughts as things that are really, really impacting your actions that you may not be realizing. So I'll give you an example. I worked with a client once who she is a founder and a CEO of an amazing startup, which is just growing from strength to strength. And she had a clear idea of what it was where she wanted her business to go. They were currently on their way to, as a startup, breaking even, and she was excited about that, as well as the steps that she needed to take to get there. And she knew what to do, right? She came into the sessions going, well, can you just tell me a little bit more? Does this make sense? Should I do this? Should I not do this? At the end of the session, where we then got to was realizing that for the past few months, she always knew what she wanted to do. That had not changed. The clarity around where she wanted to end up was still there. The steps that she needed to take and her team needed to take, she was 100% clear about that, as well as the steps that she needed to take. One of which was starting by restructuring the team, bringing in an advisor that would actually help them, and connecting with people externally in terms of how they helped the business to increase their reach and to therefore move to the next level. But here's the thing that was holding her back. In terms of the thoughts in her head, what she was telling herself was, well, if I reach out to people, they're busy. If someone's holding me back because they're not moving as fast as I want them to be, I don't want to feel like I'm pushing them. I don't want to feel like I'm not being considerate of their time. And so instead of taking an action which she knew she wanted to take and she knew she needed to take and that would move her forward, instead of taking it within, 15 minutes or half a day of knowing she needed to do that, she would then extend that by 3 weeks. So she was still taking the action. She knew what she needed to do. But that unconstructive thought, the thought that told her in her head, well, if you reach out to this person, you are being a burden to them, and therefore they will maybe get frustrated with you or they won't be happy with you, etc., was holding her back from taking that action. And this is not something that is just something that she thinks about. It's a type of thought that we all think about and that can hold us back. So what do? First thing, you become aware of that thought. And then the second piece is then having a strategy like you would for your business, like you would for your team, like you would for your week, like you would for your day, as to how you address those thoughts and the unconstructive thoughts. And there are, and I do like to have a system for beliefs that often get in our way of, for types of beliefs that get in our way of moving forward. And these are in order of, I guess, the weakest to the strongest. And it's very much in line with the type of coaching that I am certified in, which is energy leadership coaching, which is extremely systemized in how it looks at your mindset and how you address it. The first is general limiting beliefs. What that could look like, it's not something that's necessarily specific to you. It's a general belief that you've adopted from someone else, from a different situation throughout your life. You don't really know where it came from, but it's just in your mindset. You've never really questioned it. So that could be something as simple as executives cannot show emotions, or you can't reach the top without putting in crazy hours. A simple way to dispel that is just to go, how true is that? Give me an example where that's not true. Where did you get that belief from? How true is it for you? Like, don't let the thoughts linger in your mind. Have a question or a reaction to that thought, a response to the thought that helps you to dispel it. Because believing that executives can't show emotions, if we went through a conversation, you'd probably go, well, maybe that's not true. It's kind of just an assumption that people believe. Well, if it's not true for you, then don't adopt it, and let's actually turn that around to use that to your advantage. The second type of belief is interpretations of a situation. So this was actually what my client was experiencing, where in her head she said, well, if I reach out to them, if they're late and I continue to reach out to them, then we're going to be in a situation where they get frustrated. I'm unhappy because they're frustrated. Maybe they'll stop responding back to me. They won't do what I need them to do, or they'll do it in a less effective way. Those were all interpretations in her mind. She had no proof whatsoever that that was the case. It could also be something like, my CEO didn't invite me to a senior client meeting because he doesn't trust or value me or my work. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But let's not let those thoughts linger in our minds. So a simple response to that, or a simple question to ask is, well, that could be true, but what else could be true? What would someone with the complete opposite view think? And for my client, it was, well, they would maybe be grateful that I've reminded them of something that's really important and help them to move forward. Or they could see this as an opportunity for us to reassess our relationship and to provide ETA so that we're on the same line as to what to do next. Or an interpretation could be, oh, wow, she's a really, really mindful, intentional, focused CEO, and we need to give her back the respect that she gives us. So the interpretations in our minds don't help us, so let's not let them linger. The third, slightly stronger one is an assumption. And this hits a little bit harder because we have what we believe are data points that back up these unconstructive thoughts, because it's based on something that's happened in the past. So it could be something like, I didn't secure the senior client last time, so I am not capable of doing so this time. And it hits home a little bit harder because we've got an experience that we use as an evidence base. The way to counteract this in a consistent, systemized way is to just respond back and say to your voice, the unconstructive one, well, yes, you didn't. But first of all, what can you learn from that experience? All right. And then once you kind of think about that, then asking, well, just because it happened that way that time, what makes you believe that it will this time? If you're still stuck, maybe ask yourself follow-up questions like, what's different about the situation this time? What's different about you this time? What's different about the client this time? What's different about the scenario? What's different about your team? Start to break that simple connection that you've made in your mind between lack of the success you wanted in the past, meaning inability to succeed in the future. Again, don't let these thoughts linger in your head. Start to create those responses back to them in the same way that you would respond to someone out loud. And then finally, and this is the strongest sort of limiting belief that we often experience, is a deep-rooted, and we call this Gremlin in the world of coaching that I come from. And this is the little voice in your head that is basically just fueled by fear. It says, you are not good enough to achieve the thing that you want. whether it's inspiring your team, becoming that impactful leader that you want. It basically tells you not to try, not to take risks, and to play small. And the way to address this is by one, recognizing that it is a voice in your head. It is a part of you, but it is not the only part of you. And to recognize the reason that that thing comes up. So and it particularly comes up when we're most vulnerable, right? When you've maybe just had a really difficult time. For example, and I've shared this on other lives and in other communications. Before I joined McKinsey, I got rejected from Bain and BCG on the same day. Now, if you want to hit to your confidence and your abilities and your sense of self-worth and value, it's 2 rejections in one day, basically 1 hour apart. And that voice in my head, you are not good enough, not even to achieve the things that I wanted, but even in my current role with imposter syndrome rolled in, that was super loud. I didn't have these systemized tools at that time, but if I had, what I would have said to that voice is, thank you very much. I know that you are fueled by fear and you're trying to protect me from going out to, for example, my McKinsey interview, and to play small and not to risk it because I don't want to feel that way again. But I'm good. I am prepared. And if not, then I will prepare. So those are the 4 things, right? General limiting beliefs, interpretations, assumptions, and gremlins. And regardless of the limiting belief that you are going through or you're thinking in your head, they will fit into one of those categories, which is great because what it means is that you now have the tools and techniques to address them. Not addressing, as we often do, the actions and doing more and more and more and more. And yes, we are great at pushing through, but if you're really looking at accelerating your leadership, at taking that next step in terms of how you actually achieve the goals that you want, stopping doing the things that you've consistently done and really accelerate, not just for today, not just for that action, but for all of the things and challenges that may come up that you don't even know about. Let's go to the root of the problem. Let's focus on the source of what's holding us back, which is often our thoughts and our mindsets. And I would say in my experience, 95 to 99% of the time, it starts with our thoughts and our mindsets. And let's create that systemized, consistent, sustainable model that many other people don't do, right? Here's the secret for achieving that shift that you want. All right. Thanks so much for listening. If you are in that place where you're like, hey, I've been doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, it's creating success for me, but that success is not the success that I want anymore. It's not enough to move me forward. It's not where I want to be. I want to create legacy level, executive level leadership success, not just for today, but going forward and beyond. Then let's chat about how I can help. Head over to www.otitoleadership.com or just click on the link in the notes to book some time to chat with me and to see whether or not you're a good fit for either my one-on-one or my group program. All right. Thanks so much for joining. If you're listening post the live, just put in #replay, and I would love to hear from you. Speak soon. Stay energized.